Commander Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the UES horizon, watching the stars through the main screen. The Deep Space Patrol ship had been traveling for 3 months now, far from Earth and the safety of human space. Jake's orders were simple. Explore the outer rim, look for new planets, and watch for any signs of alien life. So far, they had found nothing but empty space and distant stars. "Commander, we're getting those strange readings again," said Lisa Parker from her position at the navigation station. She was young, maybe 25, with short brown hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. Lisa had been with the ship for 6 months, and she was good at her job. Too good to make the kind of mistakes that had been happening lately. Jake walked over to look at her screen. The numbers made no sense. Their quantum sensors were picking up something, but when they tried to focus on it, the readings disappeared. It happened at least once a day now, sometimes more. The ship's computer said everything was working fine, but Jake's gut told him something was wrong. "Same pattern as yesterday?" Jake asked. "Yes, sir." The sensors detect a gravity distortion for maybe 10 seconds, then nothing. "It's like something big is moving out there, but when we try to track it, it just vanishes." Chief Engineer Paul Martinez came up from the engine room, wiping his hands on a dirty cloth. Paul was older than most of the crew, maybe with gray hair and the kind of experience that came from 30 years in space. He looked worried. "Commander, we need to talk," Paul said. "The power systems are acting up again. Same time as those sensor readings Lisa's been getting." Jake felt a chill run down his spine. "Show me."
Oh.
Led them to a computer terminal and pulled up the power grid display. "Look at this. Every time Lisa gets those readings, our main power drops by exactly 3%. It's not 2%, not 4%. Always 3. That's not a coincidence." Lisa stared at the screen. "You think something is draining our power?" "I think something is watching us," Paul said quietly. "And every time it does, it affects our systems somehow." Jake looked around the bridge. The rest of the crew was going about their normal duties, but he could see the tension in their faces. Everyone had noticed the strange things happening on the ship. Equipment breaking down for no reason, computer systems glitching, people having bad dreams and waking up tired. "Commander Morrison to the bridge, please. We have a situation." The voice came from the ship's communication system. It was Tony. "Miller, their communications officer." Jake pressed the reply button. "I'm already on the bridge, Tony. What's the situation?" "Sir, you need to see this. We're picking up radio signals, but they're not coming from any known source. And the pattern is weird." Jake walked over to Tony's station. Tony was a thin man with nervous hands and a talent for picking up signals that other people missed. His equipment was always perfectly tuned, and he knew every radio frequency used by human ships. "What kind of signals?" Jake asked. Tony played a recording through his headphones, then switched it to the bridge speakers. The sound was faint, like static, but there was something underneath it. A pattern that almost sounded like ... voices. "It's not random," Tony said. "There's a structure to it. It's like someone is talking, but in a language I've never heard before. And sir, the signals are coming from the same area where Lisa keeps getting those sensor readings." Jake felt the pieces starting to come together, but the picture they made was impossible. "You're saying something invisible is out there watching us, and it's trying to communicate?" "I'm saying something is out there," Tony replied. "Whether it's trying to communicate or just talking to itself, I don't know." Lisa checked her sensors again. "Commander, I'm getting another reading. Same location, same pattern." Paul looked at his power display. "And there goes 3% of our main power, right on schedule." Jake made a decision. "Tony, record everything." "Lisa, I want you to map every single one of these readings, no matter how small." "Paul, start monitoring all ship systems every time this happens. I want to know exactly what's affecting us and how." "Sir, should we report this to Earth Command?" Lisa asked. Jake thought about it. If he'd reported invisible aliens watching them, Earth Command would either think he was crazy or send a fleet of ships to investigate. Either way, it might make their watchers do something dangerous. "Not yet," Jake said. "We need more information first." but I want everyone to stay alert. If something is watching us, we need to be ready for anything." The bridge went quiet except for the normal sounds of the ship's systems. Everyone focused on their work, but Jake could feel the change in the air. His crew was scared, but they were also determined. That was good. Fear could keep them alive, but determination would help them fight back if they had to. Over the next few days, the pattern continued. Every day, sometimes twice a day, the sensors would detect something that wasn't there. The power would drop by exactly 3%. The radio would pick up those strange, almost voice signals. The crew would get a little more nervous. Jake started keeping a log of every incident, wrote down the time, the location, what systems were affected, and how long it lasted. After a week, he had 23 separate incidents, all following the same pattern. Something was definitely out there, and it was definitely watching them. Dr. Amy Collins, ship science officer, came to see Jake in his quarters on the 8th day. Amy was smart, maybe the smartest person on the ship. She had degrees in biology and physics, and she could solve problems that made other people's heads hurt. "Commander, I've been thinking about those sensor readings," Amy said. "I have a theory, but you're not going to like it. Try me. What if whatever is watching us exists in a different dimension? It's not invisible, but shifted somehow so that our normal sensors can't detect it properly. I would explain why we get readings for a few seconds, then nothing. Maybe it's moving in and out of our dimension." Jake stared at her. "That's impossible. A year ago, faster-than-light travel was impossible. 5 years ago, artificial gravity was impossible. We keep saying things are impossible, and then we figure out how to do them anyway." "So you think we're being watched by interdimensional aliens?" "I think we're being watched by something that understands physics better than we do. Whether they're aliens or something else, I don't know. But they're real, and they're out there."
How big?
Jake looked out the window of his quarters at the stars. Somewhere out there, invisible watchers were studying his ship and his crew. They had technology that could hide them from human sensors, but they weren't perfect. They were leaving traces, making mistakes. If they could make mistakes, they could be beaten. "Amy, I want you to work with Lisa and Paul. See if you can figure out how to detect these things properly. I don't care if you have to rewrite the laws of physics to do it. If we do detect them, what then?" Jake thought about it. "Then we'll decide whether to say hello or start shooting." Amy smiled. "I'll get started right away." After she left, Jake sat alone in his quarters thinking. His crew was good, maybe the best he'd ever worked with. They were smart, brave, and they didn't give up easily. If something was watching them, thinking they were just another primitive species to be studied, it was in for a surprise. Humans had a talent for doing impossible things. They had always found ways to fight back against bigger, stronger enemies. They adapted, they learned, and they never stopped trying. Whatever was out there watching them was about to learn that lesson the hard way. Jake opened his personal log and began to write. Day 8 of the incidents. We are definitely being watched by something with advanced technology. The crew is handling it well, but everyone is on edge. I've authorized full research into detection methods. If these watchers think they can hide from us forever, they're wrong. We will find them, and when we do, they'll discover that humans don't like being watched without permission. He closed the log and looked out at the stars again. Somewhere out there, the watchers were probably congratulating themselves on their perfect hiding spots. They had no idea that the humans were already starting to figure them out. The hunt was about to begin. Dr. Amy Collins worked late into the night, her laboratory filled with the quiet hum of computers and scientific equipment. She had been studying the sensor data for 2 weeks now, and the patterns were becoming clearer. Whatever was watching them was not using any technology she recognized, but it was leaving traces. Small traces, but enough to work with. She pulled up the latest readings on her main screen. The gravity distortions happened in a specific sequence, almost like a ship moving in formation with others. If she was right, there were at least 3 separate objects out there, possibly more. They stayed about 50 kilometers away from the horizon, always maintaining the same distance. "Computer, show me the power fluctuation data from the same time periods," Amy said. The screen changed to display the ship's power grid readings. Just as Paul had said, The power dropped by exactly 3% every time the sensors detected but Amy noticed something else. The power didn't just drop randomly, it dropped from specific systems. First, the navigation sensors, then the communication array, then the main engines. Like something was testing each system one by one. Amy felt a chill. These watchers weren't just observing. They were studying the ship's capabilities, learning about human technology. But why? And more importantly, what did they plan to do with that information? She picked up her communication device and called the bridge. "Commander Morrison, this is Dr. Collins. I need to show you something." "On my way," Jake's voice came back immediately. While she waited, Amy continued her analysis. She had been thinking about quantum physics and dimensional theory for days now. If these beings could hide from normal sensors, they had to be using some kind of advanced technology. But all technology had limits, and all hiding had weaknesses. Jake arrived with Lisa Parker and Paul Martinez. The three of them looked tired but alert. None of them had been sleeping well since the incident started. "What did you find, Amy?" Jake asked. Amy pointed to her screen. "They're not just watching us randomly. Look at this pattern. Every time they scan us, they focus on a different ship system. First navigation, then communications, then engines, then weapons, then life support. It's systematic." Paul studied the data. "They're learning how our ship works." "Exactly, and there's something else. I've been analyzing the radio signals Tony picked up. They're not trying to communicate with us. They're talking to each other." Lisa leaned forward. "You can understand what they're saying? Not the words, but I can recognize patterns. Command structures, status reports, tactical discussions. It's like listening to a military radio network, but in a language we don't know." Jake felt his stomach tighten. "Military radio network. Commander, I think we're being studied by a military force. They're gathering intelligence about human ship design, our capabilities, our weaknesses. This isn't scientific curiosity. This is preparation for something." The bridge communication system crackled to life. "Commander Morrison, please. Report to the bridge immediately. We have a situation." Jake and the others rushed to the bridge. Chief Security Officer Ben Hayes was waiting for them, looking grim. Ben was a big man, former military, with the kind of experience that came from fighting in dangerous places. Ben looked worried. There was good reason for it. "What's the situation, Ben?" Jake asked. "Sir, my security teams have been reporting strange incidents for the past few days. Equipment moving when no one is around. Doors opening and closing by themselves. Temperature changes in specific areas of the ship. At first I thought it was just system malfunctions, but the pattern is too organized." "What kind of pattern?" Pulled up a ship schematic on his screen. "Look at this. Red dots show where incidents have happened. They're not random. Someone or something has been mapping our security systems, testing our response times, learning our patrol routes." Amy studied the display. "Ben, have you noticed any correlation between these incidents and our sensor readings?" "That's the strange part. The incidents happen about 10 minutes after each sensor reading. It's like whatever is watching us is sending something inside the ship to investigate." Paul looked up from his engineering console. "That's impossible. Our whole sensors would detect any breach. Not if whatever is getting in exists in a different dimension," Amy said. "Not if they can phase in and out of our reality." Jake looked around the bridge. His crew was scared, but they were also getting angry. Humans didn't like being invaded, even by invisible enemies they couldn't fight back against. "Ben, I want you to implement full security protocols. Assume we have invisible intruders who can get through our normal defenses. How would you handle that?" Ben smiled for the first time in days. "With pleasure, sir. I'll set up motion detectors, temperature sensors, air pressure monitors. If something invisible is walking around our ship, it still has to displace air and affect the environment. We'll track it by what it affects, not by what we can see." "Do it, Amy. I want you to keep working on detection methods. If these things can hide from our sensors, there has to be a way to unhide them. I'm already working on several theories, Commander." Give me another few days. Tony Miller's voice came over the communication system. Commander, I'm picking up more of those signals. But this time they're different. Louder. And sir, I think they're getting closer. Jake felt the familiar chill of danger. On screen, the main display showed Tony's analysis of the radio signals. The patterns were more complex now, with multiple voices talking at once. Even without understanding the language, Jake could hear the urgency in the alien voices. Amy, any idea what they're discussing? Amy listened carefully to the alien voices. The tone has changed. Before they sounded calm, methodical. Now they sound ... concerned. Maybe worried. Worried about what? About us? I think they're realizing that we know they're there. Ben looked up from his security console. Commander, if they know that we know, they might decide to stop watching and start acting. Jake nodded. That was exactly what he was afraid of. An invisible enemy that was... Just watching was one thing. Invisible enemy that felt threatened was much more dangerous. All hands. This is Commander Morrison, Jake announced over the ship's communication system. As of now, we are operating under full alert status. All crew members are to work in pairs. No one goes anywhere alone. Report any unusual incidents. Immediately, we may be dealing with invisible intruders who can move through our ship without being detected by normal means. He paused, thinking about how much to tell them. His crew deserved to know what they were facing. I want everyone to understand the situation clearly. We're being watched by an unknown force with advanced technology. They have been studying our ship and learning about our capabilities. This may be preparation for hostile action. But remember, we are not helpless. We've already detected their presence despite their technology. We'll find a way to fight back if necessary. The bridge crew looked at Jake with expressions of determination mixed with fear. That was good. It would. Keep them alert. Determination would help them find solutions. Over the next 2 days, Ben's security measures began to show results. Motion detectors in empty corridors picked up movement where no one should be. Temperature sensors detected body heat signatures. That appeared and disappeared. Air pressure monitors showed disturbances caused by invisible figures walking through the ship. Commander, look at this, Ben said, showing Jake the security data, tracking at least 6 separate intruders. They're moving through the ship in a coordinated pattern, examining our weapon systems, our engine room, our computer cores. Amy joined them at the security station. I've been analyzing their movement patterns. They're very systematic, very professional. This is definitely military reconnaissance. Any progress on detection methods? Jake asked. Actually, yes, I think I've found a weakness in their technology. Whatever they use to hide themselves creates small distortions in background quantum fields. It's like they're creating tiny bubbles. In reality, if I can build a sensor that detects those bubbles instead of looking for the objects themselves, we might be able to see them. Jake felt hope for the first time in weeks. Give me 3 days. I'll need Paul's help with the engineering, and I'll need to modify our main sensor array. Do it, Ben? Can your security teams hold out for 3 more days? Ben grinned. Sir, now that we know they're there, we're actually doing pretty well. Yesterday, my team in Corridor 7 set up a motion trap. When one of the intruders walked through it, we hit it with everything we had. Stun grenades, sonic disruptors, electromagnetic pulse weapons. We couldn't see what we hit, but something. Definitely got hit. The air moved like a large object had fallen down. Any casualties on our side? None. But whatever we hit, it retreated fast. I don't think they expected us to fight back against enemies we couldn't see. Jake smiled. That was the thing about humans. We're very good at adapting to impossible situations. They were even better at fighting back when someone tried to intimidate them. Keep up the good work, everyone. In 3 days, we'll see what our invisible watchers really look like. And then we'll decide what to do about them. The crew dispersed to their duties with new energy. They had work to do, and they had hope that they could succeed. The invisible watchers had made one big mistake. Dr. Amy Collins had not slept in 36 hours. With cables running everywhere and computer screens showing complex equations that hurt to look at. But she was close, very close to solving. The impossible problem of seeing the invisible. Paul Martinez worked beside her, connecting the modified sensor array to the ship's main computer systems. His hands moved with the precision of someone who had been fixing impossible things for most of his life. Every few minutes, he would stop and wipe sweat from his forehead, but he never complained about the work. "Amy, are you sure this is going to work?" Paul asked as he attached another cable. "Because if we overload the main sensors, we'll be flying blind." "It has to work," Amy replied, typing rapidly on her keyboard. "I've run the calculations 100 times. Their cloaking technology creates quantum echoes in subspace. We can't see the ships themselves, but we can see the holes they leave in reality." Jake Morrison watched from the laboratory doorway. His crew had been working non-stop for 3 days, and everyone was exhausted, but they were also excited. For the first time since this whole situation started, they had a real chance to fight back. "How much longer?" Jake asked. 20 minutes to finish the connections," Paul said. "Then we tested." Ben Hayes appeared behind Jake, carrying a datapad full of security reports. "Commander, we've had 12 more encounters with the invisible intruders in the past 24 hours. My teams are getting better at tracking them, but they're also getting more aggressive." "What do you mean, more aggressive?" "Yesterday they were just observing. Today they're interfering with our systems. They disabled 3 security cameras, cut power to the weapons storage room, and somehow locked down Corridor 12 for 6 hours. They're not just watching anymore. They're preparing for something." Jake felt the familiar knot of worry in his stomach. "Any idea what they're preparing for?" "Nothing good," Ben said grimly. "My guess is they've learned everything they want to know about our ship. Now they're testing our defenses, looking for weak points." Amy looked up from her computer. "That matches what I'm seeing in the communication intercepts." The alien chatter has increased dramatically. Tony picked up what sounds like coordination signals between multiple ships. "I think they're planning to make their move soon." Jake made a decision. Ben put the ship on combat alert. "All crew to battle stations. If they want to fight, we'll give them one." "Sir, how do we fight enemies we can't see?" "We're about to find out," Amy said, connecting the last cable to her modified sensor array. "Paul, bring the system online." Hands moved over the engineering controls. Quantum echo detector coming online in 3, 2, 1, mark. The main laboratory screen flickered to life, showing what looked like empty space around the ship. For a moment, nothing happened. Then Amy adjusted the sensitivity controls, and suddenly the screen exploded with activity. "Dear God," Paul whispered. "Where?" Before they had seen empty space, now they could see the outlines of massive ships. 3 of them, each one larger than anything in the human fleet. They were positioned around the horizon in a perfect triangle, close enough to attack, but far enough away to avoid detection by normal sensors. "Jake, you need to see this," Amy called. Jake rushed to look at the screen. The alien ships were beautiful in a terrifying way. They had curves and angles that seemed to shift and flow like liquid metal, but what scared him most was their size. Each ship was at least twice as long as the horizon, and bristled with weapon systems that he didn't recognize. "How long have they been there?" Jake asked. "Based on the quantum echo patterns, at least 2 weeks, maybe longer." Jake activated his communication device. "All hands, this is the commander. We have successfully detected the ships that have been watching us. There are 3 of them, and they are very large. All crew to battle stations immediately. This is not a drill." The ship's alert sirens began to wail as the crew rushed to their combat positions. Jake ran to the bridge with Amy and Paul close behind him. Ben was already there, coordinating the security teams. "Ben, what's our combat status?" Jake asked. "All weapon systems are online and ready, but Commander, our guns are designed to fight ships we can see. How do we target something that's invisible?" Amy connected her modified sensors to the bridge displays. "You can see them now, but only with the quantum echo detector. I can feed targeting data to the weapon systems, but it's going to be tricky." Lisa Parker looked up from her navigation station. "Commander, I'm detecting movement from the alien ships. They're changing position." On the main screen, the 3 alien vessels were indeed moving. They were closing the distance to the horizon, their formation tightening like a trap. Tony Miller's voice crackled over the communication system. "Commander, I'm picking up massive increases in alien radio traffic. Multiple ships are talking at once, and they sound very excited about something. Jake felt sweat running down his back. Amy, can you tell what they're saying? Not the exact words, but the tone is unmistakable. They're giving attack orders. Jake made the hardest decision of his career. All weapons prepare to fire on my command. Target the largest ship first. Sir, Lisa said quietly, are we really going to shoot first? Jake looked around the bridge at his crew. They were scared, but they trusted him. They'd been studying us for weeks, learning our weaknesses, preparing for an attack. They've invaded our ship and interfered with our systems. I'd say they shot first. Ben nodded grimly. I agree, sir. My security teams have been fighting invisible intruders for days. This is self-defense. The alien ships moved closer. On Amy's modified display, Jake could see weapon ports opening on the alien hulls. Whatever those weapons were, they looked powerful enough to destroy the horizon with a single shot. All weapons lock onto target 1, Jake ordered. Locked on, sir, came the reply from the weapons officer. Fire. The horizon's main guns erupted in brilliant flashes of light. Plasma bolts and particle beams lanced out toward empty space, guided by Amy's quantum echo targeting system. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then the impossible occurred. The largest alien ship suddenly became visible as explosions blossomed along its hull. The human weapons had found their target, punching through alien shields and armor that had never been tested against an enemy that could see through their cloaking. Direct hit, Ben shouted. Their cloaking system is failing. The alien ship flickered in and out of visibility as its damaged cloaking generators struggled to function. Jake could see massive holes in its hull where the human weapons had struck. But more importantly, he could see the shock and confusion of the alien crew through the ship's transparent sections. They can't believe we can see them, Amy said, watching the alien ship's desperate attempts to restore its cloaking. Their entire military doctrine is based on being invisible. They don't know how to fight an enemy that can target them. Other 2 alien ships opened fire, their weapons creating brilliant streaks of energy that hammered against the horizon's shields. The human ship shook under the impact, but the shields held. Return fire on targets 2 and 3, Jake ordered. The horizon's weapons swiveled to track the remaining alien ships, guided by Amy's sensors. More plasma bolts and particle beams reached out across space, finding targets that should have been impossible to hit. Both alien ships took heavy damage. One of them began to retreat. Its cloaking system completely failed in trailing atmosphere from multiple hull breaches. The other tried to maintain its attack, but its weapons fire became wild and inaccurate as the crew panicked. Commander, I'm receiving a transmission, Tony announced. It's coming from the aliens, on screen. The main display showed a figure. That was clearly not human. It was tall and thin, with pale gray skin and large dark eyes. When it spoke, the ship's computer translated its words into English. Human vessel, cease your attack. We are Vorthok. You cannot see us. This is impossible. Jake stepped forward. This is Commander Morrison of the human vessel Horizon.
We can see you just fine.
Been watching us, studying us, and invading our ship for weeks. Now you're attacking us. I'd say you started this fight. The alien's large eyes showed what might have been confusion or fear. How do you see us? Our cloaking is perfect. No species has ever detected us. Maybe no other species was trying hard. Enough, Jake replied. Humans don't like being watched without permission. We especially don't like being invaded. Amy leaned over to whisper in Jake's ear. Commander, their lead ship is trying to retreat, but its engines are damaged. The other ships are moving to protect it. Jake nodded. He had a choice to make. He could destroy the alien ships, or he could try to end this without more bloodshed. But he also had to make sure they never threatened humans again. Vorthok ships, this is your only warning. Leave this area immediately and do not return. We detect you watching human vessels again. We will destroy you. Your cloaking technology is useless against us now. The alien commander's expression changed to what looked like anger. You are a primitive species. We cannot threaten the Vorthok Empire. Watch us, Jake said calmly. Ben, target their weapon systems. Show them how primitive we are. The horizons. Guns fired again, precisely targeting the weapon ports on all three alien ships. Admiral Vextel stood on the command bridge of the massive Vorthok battleship, staring at the reports from the encounter with the human vessel. His pale gray hands trembled with rage as he read the impossible words. The humans had seen through their cloaking. The humans had damaged 3 Vorthok ships. The humans had threatened the mighty Vorthok Empire. This is unacceptable, Vexel hissed to his officers. These primitive creatures cannot be allowed to spread their detection technology. If other species learn that our cloaking can be defeated, our entire strategy for galactic conquest will fail. Commander Kextal, a younger Vorthok officer, stood nervously nearby. Admiral, perhaps we should study how they accomplish this. Their technology might be useful to us. Vexel turned his large, dark eyes toward Kextal. You suggest we learn from primitives? The Vorthok have ruled through superior technology for 1,000 years. We do not learn from lesser species. We destroy them. But sir, they were able to target our ships with impossible accuracy. They disabled our weapons without destroying us, showing they could have killed us if they chose to. It suggests a level of capability we should not ignore. Vextel's anger grew. Silence. Ready the attack fleet. We will destroy this human ship and all evidence of their detection technology. Then we will find their home world and eliminate the threat completely. Meanwhile, on the EU's horizon, Commander Jake Morrison was having his own difficult conversation with Earth Command. The communication delay made real-time discussion impossible, but the recorded messages from Fleet Headquarters were clear. Earth Command was very interested in the alien contact, and very worried about the implications. Jake, this is Admiral Rodriguez, came the voice from the speaker. Your report about invisible alien ships is hard to believe, but the sensor data you transmitted backs up your story. We're sending a fleet to your position immediately. Do not engage the aliens again unless you have no choice. This situation is bigger than one ship now. Jake looked around the bridge at his crew. They had been preparing for another encounter for 12 hours. Ever since their modified sensors detected a much larger alien fleet approaching their position, Amy's quantum echo detector showed at least 20 ships this time, including several that were enormous even by alien standards. Amy, how big is their largest ship? Jake asked. Dr. Collins studied her displays carefully. Based on the quantum signature, I'd estimate it's about 2 kilometers long. That's 10 times the size of our largest battleship. Lisa Parker looked up from her navigation station. Commander, the alien fleet will reach us in 6 hours. Should we try to run? Jake thought about it. Horizon was fast, but probably not faster than alien ships with advanced technology. And running would just bring the aliens closer to human. Space? No. We stand and fight. But we're not going to win this with just one ship. Ben Hayes walked onto the bridge carrying his latest security reports. Commander, my teams have finished setting up the new defense systems. If the aliens try to board us again, they're going to get a very unpleasant surprise. What kind of surprise? Ben smiled grimly. Sonic disruptors in every corridor, motion-activated electromagnetic pulse grenades, and sensor nets that can track anything that displaces air. Plus, I've trained every crew member in combat against invisible enemies. We use sound, air movement, and teamwork to locate targets we can't see. Tony Miller's voice came over the communication system. Commander, I'm picking up the alien radio chatter again. They're definitely planning an attack, and they sound angry. Can you tell us anything useful about their plans? They keep mentioning something called a final solution and talking about eliminating the detection threat. I think they're planning to destroy us and then attack Earth. Jake felt cold fear run through him. This was no longer just about his ship. The aliens saw human detection technology as a threat to their entire empire, and they were willing to commit genocide to eliminate that threat. Amy, how quickly can we transmit the technical specifications for your quantum echo detector to Earth Command? I can send the complete blueprints in about 10 minutes. But Commander, if we're about to be destroyed, what good will that do? It means that even if we don't survive, Other human ships will be able to see through alien cloaking. The aliens won't be able to surprise attack our worlds. Amy began preparing the data transmission while Jake opened a channel to Earth Command. Admiral Rodriguez, this is Commander Morrison. We are about to be attacked by a large alien fleet. I am transmitting complete technical data for our alien detection systems. Make sure every ship in the fleet gets this information immediately. The aliens are planning to attack Earth after they destroy us. The quantum echo detectors suddenly screamed with activity. The alien fleet had arrived, and they were dropping out of faster-than-light travel all around the horizon. Battle stations! Jake shouted. All hands prepare for combat. The bridge displays lit up with the shapes of 23 alien ships, ranging from small fighters to the massive command vessel. They formed a perfect sphere around the human ship, trapping it at the center. They're trying to communicate, Tony announced. On screen, Admiral Vextel's face appeared on the main display. His large eyes burned with hatred as he spoke. Human vessel, you have interfered with Vorthok operations for the last time. Surrender your detection technology, and we will grant you a quick death. Jake stepped forward. This is Commander Morrison. I have a counteroffer. Leave human space. Immediately, and we won't share your location with every species in the galaxy. Vextel's expression showed confusion. You threaten us? You are one small ship against a fleet. Your detection technology cannot save you from superior numbers. Maybe not, Jake admitted, but it can make sure we take a lot of you with us. And Admiral, there's something you don't understand about humans. We don't surrender, ever. We fight until we win, or until we die, but we never give up. Ben Hayes leaned over to whisper in Jake's ear, Commander, their ships are moving into attack. Formation? Multiple weapon signatures are powering up. Jake nodded. All weapons, prepare to fire on multiple targets. Amy, can your sensors handle tracking this many ships at once? Computer is running at maximum capacity, but yes. I can give you targeting data for all of them. The alien fleet opened fire simultaneously. 23 ships unleashed their weapons at the single human vessel, creating a light show that could be seen for millions of kilometers. The horizon shields flared and sparked under the massive assault, but they held. Return fire, Jake ordered. The human ship's weapons swiveled and fired in all directions at once, guided by Amy's quantum sensors. Plasma bolts and particle beams reached out to strike alien ships that thought they were safely hidden. Explosions blossomed across the alien fleet as human weapons found their marks with impossible accuracy. Direct hits on 12 targets, Ben reported. Several enemy ships are losing cloak integrity. The alien ships that had been hit flickered in and out of visibility as their cloaking systems failed. Jake could see alien crew members running in, panic through transparent sections of their holes. They had never fought an enemy that could see them, and they didn't know how to handle it. Focus fire on the command ship, Jake ordered. The Horizon's weapons concentrated on Admiral Vextel's massive vessel. The alien shields flared under the assault, but they were designed to handle attacks from enemies who couldn't see the ship. Clearly, against precisely targeted human fire, they began to fail. Vexel's image flickered on the communication screen as explosions rocked his ship. Impossible. Your primitive weapons cannot harm Vorthok vessels. Apparently they can, Jake replied calmly. Admiral, your cloaking technology has one major weakness. It makes you overconfident. You've been hiding for so long that you've forgotten how to fight a real battle. More alien ships lost their cloaking as damage accumulated. Some began to retreat, unwilling to face an enemy that could target them accurately. Others pressed their attack, but their weapon fire was wild and panicked. The Horizon took more hits as the battle continued. Sparks flew from damaged systems, and the lights flickered as power conduits overloaded. But the human crew fought with desperate determination. Knowing that their survival meant the survival of their entire species, Commander, I'm detecting new ships approaching, Lisa announced. Human ships. It's the Earth's defense fleet. Jake looked at his displays and felt hope surge through him. 12 human warships were dropping out of faster-than-light travel there. Weapons already charging for battle, Earth's command had received his transmission and responded faster than he had thought possible. This is Admiral Rodriguez aboard the battleship Defiance, came a voice over the communication system. Commander Morrison, we received your technical data and equipped our fleet with quantum echo detectors. We can see every alien ship in the area. The tide of battle turned instantly. The alien fleet, already demoralized by fighting an enemy they couldn't hide from, now faced 13 human ships instead of one. Worse, all the human ships could see through their cloaking. Admiral Vextel's command ship tried to retreat, but human weapons followed it accurately despite its attempts to cloak. Other Vorthok vessels scattered in all directions, their perfect formation collapsing into chaos. 3 days after the battle, Commander Jake Morrison stood in the conference room aboard Admiral Rodriguez's flagship. Looking at the most unusual diplomatic meeting in human history, across the table sat Commander Kextel, the young Vorthok officer who had questioned Admiral Vextel's aggressive tactics. The alien looked nervous but determined. Commander Morrison, Kextel said in carefully pronounced English, I must apologize for my people's actions. Admiral Vextel believed that your species posed a threat to Vorthok dominance, but his response was wrong. Jake studied the alien carefully. Kextel was different from the arrogant admiral they had fought. His large dark eyes showed intelligence and something that looked like genuine regret. What happened to Admiral Vextel? Jake asked. He has been removed from command. The Vorthok High Council is
reconsidering our approach to other species.
Your victory has caused much discussion among my people. Admiral Rodriguez leaned forward. Commander Kextel, we need to understand something. How many species have the Vorthok been watching and studying without their knowledge? Kextel's expression showed discomfort. Perhaps hundreds. We have been observing civilizations throughout this galaxy for over 1,000 years, learning their capabilities and planning for eventual conquest. Dr. Amy Collins, who had been invited to attend the meeting, spoke up. And no one ever detected you before? Never. Our cloaking technology has been perfect for millennia. We became convinced that we were superior to all other life forms because none could see us. Jake felt anger building inside him. So you've been planning to conquer hundreds of civilizations, and you thought it was acceptable because they couldn't fight back? That was the old way of thinking, Kextel said quickly. But your species has changed everything. You proved that our cloaking can be defeated. More importantly, you proved that we are not as superior as we believed. Admiral Rodriguez pulled up a star chart on the conference room display. Commander Kextel, we're going to share the technical specifications for our quantum echo detection systems with every species in this galaxy. How does the Vorthok Empire feel about that? As Kextel was quiet for a long moment. The High Council is divided. The older members, like Admiral Vextel, want to fight. They believe we can still conquer through superior numbers and weapons, but the younger generation understands that the age of invisible conquest is over. And which side are you on? Jake asked. I believe it is time for the Vorthok to join the galactic community as equals, not as hidden masters. We have much to offer other species and much to learn from them. Amy leaned forward with interest. What kind of things could the Vorthok offer? Our technology is advanced in many areas besides cloaking. We have medical knowledge that could help cure diseases, energy systems that are more efficient than anything currently used, and transportation methods that could connect distant worlds. Jake looked at Admiral Rodriguez. They both understood the implications. Vorthok technology could benefit all of humanity, but only if the aliens could be trusted. Commander Kextel, Admiral Rodriguez said, we're willing to consider peaceful relations with your people, but there have to be conditions. What conditions? First, all Vorthok observation of other species stops immediately. No more invisible watching, no more secret studies. If you want to learn about a civilization, you ask permission openly. Kextel nodded. That is reasonable. Second, the Vorthok Empire must contact every species you've been watching and apologize for the secret surveillance. They deserve to. No, they were being studied without consent. That will be difficult for the High Council to accept. It means admitting we were wrong. Sometimes admitting you're wrong is the first step toward doing something right. Third, Admiral Rodriguez continued, The technical specifications for quantum echo detection will be shared with every species in the galaxy. The age of invisible empires is over forever. Kextall thought about this for a long time. If I agreed to recommend these conditions to the High Council, what does humanity offer in return? Partnership, Jake said. Not conquest, not domination. Just cooperation between equals. We share our detection technology freely, but we also work together to develop new technologies that benefit everyone. And if the High Council refuses these terms? Admiral Rodriguez's expression became serious. Then every species in the galaxy will know exactly where every Vorthok ship is at all times. Your people will face the same choice you offered other civilizations: surrender or be destroyed. The difference is, this time the fight will be fair. Kextall stood up slowly. I will take your terms to the High Council. It may take time to convince them, but I believe this is the path to a better future for all our peoples. After the alien left, Jake and Amy walked back to the horizon together. The ship was being repaired after the battle, but it would be ready for duty again soon. Do you think he can convince them? Amy asked. I don't know, Jake replied. I think the important thing is that we've proven invisible doesn't mean invincible. Every species in the galaxy is going to know that now. 2 weeks later, Jake received a message from Earth's command. The quantum echo detection technology had been shared with 47 different civilizations, and the results were remarkable. Ancient, invisible monitoring stations had been discovered throughout the galaxy. Secret Vorthok bases had been found and abandoned. Most importantly, dozens of species that had thought they were alone in the universe suddenly discovered they had been watched for centuries. The galactic political situation changed overnight. The species that had been secretly studied by the Vorthok began to communicate with each other, sharing their experiences and forming new alliances. The invisible empire that had controlled galactic affairs from the shadows was being forced into. The Lightcot commander, Kextall, sent a message to Jake 3 weeks after their meeting. The Vorthok High Council had voted, after much debate, to accept the human terms. Admiral Vextall and his supporters had been removed from power. A new government was being formed based on open cooperation rather than secret domination. Dr. Collins received recognition from the Galactic Science Council, the new organization. Formed by species that had previously been unaware of each other's existence, her work on quantum echo detection was being studied by scientists from dozens of worlds, leading to new discoveries and technologies. Chief Ben Hayes became an instructor at the new Galactic Defense Academy, teaching military officers from multiple species how to fight enemies with advanced cloaking technology. His motto, painted on the academy wall, read, "If you can't see them, make them show themselves." Engineer Paul Martinez led a joint research project between human and Vorthok scientists, developing new technologies that combined the best of both civilizations. The first result was a new type of starship engine that was twice as efficient as anything previously built. But the most important change was in how species throughout the galaxy thought about power and superiority. The Vorthok had ruled through hidden strength, convincing themselves that secrecy made them superior. Humans had proven that true strength came from facing challenges openly, working together to overcome them. Jake Morrison was promoted to admiral and given command of the new Galactic Exploration Fleet. His mission was to seek out new civilizations and make peaceful contact. Using the lessons learned from the Vorthok encounter, no more hidden watchers, just open communication between equals. On his final day aboard the Horizon, Jake made one last entry in his personal log. We set out to explore the unknown and discovered we were being watched by invisible aliens who planned to conquer us. We could have been afraid, we could have surrendered. Instead, we chose to fight back with the tools we had: human curiosity, human stubbornness, and human refusal to accept that anything is impossible. The Vorthok thought their technology made them superior, but they learned that technology is just a tool. What matters is how you use it and whether you use it to help others or to harm them. They chose secrecy and dominance. We chose openness and cooperation. Today, dozens of species are working together to explore the galaxy and share knowledge freely. Former enemies are becoming allies. Hidden empires are becoming open partnerships. And all because a small group of humans refuse to accept that some things cannot be seen. The age of invisible empires is over. The age of visible cooperation has begun. And humanity helped make that happen not through superior technology, but through superior thinking. Jake closed the log and looked out at the stars one last time from the horizon's bridge. Somewhere out there, former Vorthok observation, posts were being converted into diplomatic stations. Species that had been watched in secret were now meeting their watchers as equals. And humans were at the center of it all, not as conquerors, but as the species that had proven that true invisibility was impossible when facing an enemy that refused to give up. The galaxy was a different place now, a better place. And it had changed because humans had looked at an impossible problem and decided to solve it anyway. That Jake thought was the most human thing of all.